What's going on, guys, in the works, and welcome to another Battlefield 3 Showdown. And today is a special Aftermath edition because we are going to be looking at the Expo, but not just the Expo itself, the ammo types. We're going to be comparing all the ammo types, figuring out which is the best, which does best in what situation. So it should be a pretty interesting episode, something a little different to kind of kick off this Aftermath DLC. But last week we did two engineer weapons in the ACWR versus the M4A1, and the ACWR beat the M4A1 pretty substantially, which was kind of surprising to me. So if you want to be a part in this week's episode, be sure to vote in the Facebook poll and leave your comments, because I always use those to judge your guys' opinions. But this episode we're going to be taking a look at all the different ammo types for the Crossbow, with the exception of the scanner bolt, because that's more of a tool versus a weapon, but we will talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. But let's take a look at some of the stats here. You can see the balanced bolt has less bullet drop than the normal bolt, but it does less damage within 20 meters. It only does 80 damage versus the normal bolt, which is a heavy hitter up close. It can be a one-hit kill because it does 100 damage. But you'd really be hard-pressed to snipe somebody with it just because it does have such slow velocity, such pronounced drop, and that's where the balanced bolt kind of excels. Now let's take a look at the high explosive bolt. You can see it does 200 damage if you direct impact them, but there is some splash damage too, and it can do a max splash damage of 115, but it has the worst velocity I've ever seen on a weapon at 45. It's like the speed of what you can throw a grenade, and it has a substantial amount of drop to it. So not only does it travel super slow, it has a lot of drop. So you're probably wondering, which is best in which situation? Well, here we're using the normal bolt. Normal bolt excels in close quarter scenarios just because it is a one-hit kill. Now it can be a little bit more versatile. You can snipe people from a medium range if you've got a good shot. But I found that it works really well as a backup weapon if you're a sniper. Right here I'm running the recon kit with a J&G 90, and I find that it's a very good alternative if you get caught in a situation where there's going to be a handful of people running at you. Now, in a lot of situations, it might be more advantageous to have a Magnum, a Rex, or even a 1911 in those situations, just because you can take out more than one person, because the reload is painfully slow on these crossbow rounds. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you get caught in the reload, a lot of times you will struggle. But I do find it very useful when you're playing, let's say, the recon kit or even maybe the engineer, to have that sidearm. I kind of look at the crossbow as the sidearm that gives you the opportunity to get a one-hit kill, especially with sniper rifles, because bolt actions are designed for long ranges. So having that up-close crossbow that has the potential for a one-shot kill is very, very advantageous. Now, let's look at the balance bolt here. This is a very interesting addition to the game. I feel like this really complements kits like the support, the engineer, weapons that really weren't designed for long range, that gives you that backup weapon to maybe pick some people off, camping on top of a building. You see me playing support right here. I'm able to get these guys off the buildings that I normally would have no chance of getting, because an M249 it's not an inaccurate weapon by any means, but it's not a weapon that's designed to pick people off rooftops. And that's where the balanced bolt kind of has its role. I feel like it gives the other classes outside of recon a way to deal with campers at long range distances. It gives them a way to pick people off that maybe are poking their heads over a wall. And that's why I like the balanced bolt so much more than the normal bolt. That's not to say that it's any better than the other one, but I just feel like it has more upside. Now, a lot of people don't understand the differences between the two. You look at the balance bolt and you see it does less damage, and inherently you might think, okay, well, I don't want to use that because I want that one-shot kill potential. And honestly, guys, the normal bolt is designed for close to medium range. You don't really want to take this into, and I get a lucky shot right there. That was with the balance bolt. I actually got a one-shot kill, so that guy must have been damaged because it can only do 80 max damage. So you can get one-shot kills with the normal bolt at range, don't get me wrong, but the drop on it is so pronounced that it just makes it almost impossible. Now with the high explosive bolts, that is the king of the low velocity, extremely high drop. You see how high I have to kind of lob these. You basically just have to shoot them up in the air and hope that you get anywhere close to the vicinity of a tank. And it does take quite a bit of these to disable a tank. The max damage one of these can do if they don't have reactive armor is, I think, around 25 to 28 damage if you hit them in the rear. I think depending on which angle you actually hit the tank at will determine how much damage you do. I think the minimum damage it can do to a tank is around 12, assuming they don't have reactive armor on, and that's not a lot. That's a substantial amount of bolts that you have to put into the tank to disable it. So if you're going and engaging a tank, make sure that you're engaging it from behind, because that's where you're going to be doing the most damage. Now, it's good at taking pop shots at it, and I find this explosive bolt to really do help the recon kit. And if anything, it gave these crossbows gave the recon kit a substantial buff, because now they have a way to kind of deal with tanks, because before they were the only kit that didn't really have anything that could do damage to vehicles. So it is nice to see recon able to defend itself on the battlefield now. But it's your guys' turn. Let me know which bolt type you think is best in Battlefield 3. Now, I know the high explosive bolt seems like it's a totally different animal, but I've gotten a substantial amount of kills with the heavy bolt on infantry, so I don't know. I mean, it's really up to you guys. Some people maybe want something to defend themselves from vehicles. Some people might want something to defend themselves up close with the normal bolt. Me personally, my favorite bolt is the balance bolt. I think that it works really well in some of the other kits like the engineer, the support kit. But I find if I'm playing recon, I often go with the normal bolt or the high explosive. Now, you do have the ability to switch between all of them at any time, so you don't have to just commit to one. So it is nice to have the ability to have them all at your, disposal. So let me know in the Facebook poll which one you guys think is best. And if you missed any of my other videos, now's a chance to catch up, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.